Now that I got the engine out, I have to clean up the engine bay. And I have to remove this old fuel tank, which I think was put into the boat and then the top of the boat was put in, so I might have to cut it in two. Here's what I'm dealing with for cleaning it up. So look at this grungy, nasty engine compartment. Look at that. That's the bottom of my tank. It's it was leaking, so that's one of the reasons it's coming out, and two, I don't need it. It's on electric. So where I'm at with the tank is I cut it in half, and I loosened off the steering cables so I could get the bottom half out, and then I had to crawl into the sail walker, which is on the other side of this hatch, and reach up through a tiny little hole and undo 3 bolts and cut off the feeder line and the fuel lines. Then I came down and started wailing out with a hammer, and then realized there's some bolts way back in there. So I'll have to access them from the hallway to undo them to get it down. But look at the mold. Look at the mold behind the tank. So that has to be dealt with. Well, the entire thing's gonna be cleaned up anyway. So, all right, back to it. I'm able to access the bolts through the back, and I was able to turn them to get 2 of them out. This one's just spinning, which I think I can deal with by putting pressure and bringing it out. And this one is jammed shut, so I'll have to grab some water pumps or something to put on the screwdriver and hope for the best. Scrooge McDuck taught me, work smarter, not harder. My father taught me, when intelligence doesn't work, use brute force. Sometimes getting angry works better than anything else. The boat was launched today in condition that it wasn't ready to be launched in, but you know, it's not leaking. The marina was kind enough to tow me out to an anchorage, and I dropped the hook, and here I am sitting with no motor. I have to get the dinghy blown up, the motor on, the motor running, the sails on. I have to do all that today, and hopefully I can get over to the new marina, because the old marina wouldn't let me stay. So here I am at Stillwater, right in the entrance. And I'm stuck. The water levels are super low this year, and I only draw 4.64 or something like that. Yeah, I got stuck a few times on the way over too, so I mean, it's low everywhere, but here I am. So in these 3 boxes are our new motor. I think this one's the motor, charge controller, other crap. We'll see. Alright, some foolproof instructions. I'll probably lose them some kind of layers. This is the gear reducer I bought, and opening the box I'm finding like nuts and washers and stuff just mixed within the packing, which is kind of irritating, because now I have to search for things. So fuck. Also, the motor was sitting on top of the belt, or not the motor, the gear reducer, which is pretty heavy. So I don't like that. And I'll probably have to order another one of these belts as a backup. But the deal with this is that the motor brackets into here, and then it runs through a belt system to this, and it gives 2-to-1 ratio change. And this is the motor controller, 72 to 96 volts. And I don't know what I'm doing yet. And this is the radiator. It'll help cool the motor. This is just a little pump to move the coolant around the radiator, and this is a fan. This is a, see, it's just a finned plate, and that is for this to mount to, I think. And this is the motor as a reference. There's my hand, so actually, there's a bottle of water as a reference to the size of the motor. Alright, so I say so a lot. Anyway, I had to get this replaced before I put the boat in the water originally, and I had a marina do it, and it cost me $3,000 because this was stuck, and they decided to cut it off and manufacture a new one at my cost. So I was kind of peeved about that, but they kind of had me over a barrel, so I had to suck it up and pay. So now this $700 piece that they made, or had someone make, now has to come off to fit the new system. So nothing like losing a bunch of money. Maybe I can use it in the future for something. Here's hoping. But yeah, I'm using this puller to take it off. It's coming very slowly, but it is coming, so wish me luck. This is what happens when you don't buy the right tool. I ran out of threads, so I had to use some metal tape to put some nuts together to give myself some extra length to pull out the shaft. Well, that didn't work. Alright, try the next thing. Take two? Ah, crap. This won't work. Finally. What a pain in the ass. But I got it off. And now this has to go on. As you can see, there's a lip in there because they attach two different shafts. And it's going to go on like so. And then the gear reducer goes into that side. And that's how it connects to the shaft. I got this on. It's nice and tight. And now I have to connect the gear reducer to it. And What is that? Is there a bee or something here? Jesus. It was a bee. A bumblebee. I'll let it go outside. This is how it's basically going to be set up. The motor will go in here, and there'll be a cog put on it, and I'll run a belt down to here, and that will turn the shaft just like this. I just have to figure out how to mount it. Oh, and that bee came back. I put in a I put in a new engine mount block, and it's gonna attach over there, and I'm going to fiberglass it over many times, make it nice and strong, and then I can finally mount that. By mount that, I mean mount that. First piece on, many to go. Small problem. Kicking off really quick, and I think, oh, let me put some water in this one. Let me drop my phone on the floor. Great. The problem is I bought the fast hardener instead of the slow. I almost always get the slow because of the because I usually do the fiberglassing in the fall and in the spring, so I'll have to make up smaller batches and move quicker. Alright, so that's my new engine mount. That will line up pretty much perfectly with the top of that, and it will stick in there. I'll probably have to wait a day for that to harden, and then I can drill the holes and mount it. Alright, the reducer is all installed. I put some back plates on it, and come on, focus, and there's that. The motor's in. I have to attach all the crap to it. It just kind of just fits in through the back, and then you bolt it on. I mean, it's not rocket science. To put this hub on, you want to line them up even here, and then put the hub on back here, and use just a little wrench to reach in here to tighten them up. And you want to go one, then the other, one, then the other. And that's it. That's how you put it on. I put the belt on, and to do that I had to loosen off all these bolts, tilt the motor down, put the belt on, spin it till the belt popped on, lift it back up, and tighten it back up. Now it was very heavy, so what I did is I used this and just tightened this down, and that actually straightened the motor back out. And then I tightened everything down, and it's nice and tight with a little bit of give. I installed the motor controller. So what I did is I installed this heatsink, and then I put this heatsink compound on it, just smeared it over, and then popped it on. They set the throttle control without an arm, and I'm using my cables to move it. So basically I just cut a little latch, come on, focus, and put it on with some whipping line, and then I'm going to tape it, and that's just so it doesn't come off this way, but it should be strong enough. There I go. I used the old cable system to run the new throttle, and that goes all the way back around. I'm going to use clips and stick it on the wall, and it goes back to the charge controller. The last thing I'm covering in this video is the ignition. I ripped out the old ignition system, and I just ran up the wires from the motor controller up and stuck it in there. I've decided to leave this in. I'm going to use it as a, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to use it as a physical reminder. When the motor's turned on, I'll pull it out, and when it's off, I'll push back in, which gives me a visual cue, because this only turns like that, and it's kind of hard to tell the difference just looking at it from a distance. This video is getting pretty long, so I'm gonna end it here. Next video I'm gonna work on the solar system, showing you how that's all hooked up. As you can see, I got like 3 on this side, and there's 3 on the other side. I'm gonna add 2 more, and then I'll hook that all up. What else? The cooling system for the motor, the battery system. If I can get the batteries, I was going to go flood acid. Now I don't know what I'm going to do. Batteries are very expensive. People have suggested going, with battle-born batteries, but if I could afford $8,000 in batteries, I wouldn't be living on a $5,000 boat. So hopefully by the end of the next one, I'll actually get it out of the harbor and go sailing. See you later.